Good morning, everyone, and happy Father's Day to all of the dads, grandfathers, spiritual dads, stepdads, dads-to-be, to all of the men. We honor you today. We celebrate you, and we are incredibly thankful for your voice, for your influence, and for your involvement and investment in our lives. This morning, Kelly and I are in the Dallas-Fort Worth area where I'm speaking at a friend's church for Father's Day. But I wanted to be the one to deliver the Father's Day message here at Cross Mountain. So here we are. You know, being a dad is no doubt one of the greatest joys of my life. It's also been one of the greatest challenges because we definitely don't get things right every time, which then makes being a dad one of the most humbling experiences as well. But one thing you learn quickly as a parent is this: you can't prepare your kids for every situation. You can't script every decision. You can't control every moment. You can't walk with them into every conversation, every relationship, every pressure-filled moment, even as much as you want to. But you can try to give them anchors. Anchors in the forms of truth and mindsets, convictions, lessons to live by every day. And over the years, there have been some certain anchors that I've learned that I'm trying to live and that I love. And those anchors, I think, are important for us. But I don't think they're only important for our kids. I think they're important for us as well, because life gets complicated. Culture gets loud. Pressure is real. And distractions are everywhere. So this morning, I want to share what I'm calling dad advice. Lessons I've learned, tried to live, and love. Let's take a look at the first anchor I want to share with you. It's simply this: Jesus over everything. It sounds cliche and probably expected, but it can't be taken for granted. Life is designed to be with Jesus over everything always, not just on Sundays, not just when life gets hard or when life feels like it's falling apart. Life is intended to be lived Jesus over everything. Jesus doesn't want just a place in our life. He wants first place in our life. We have to be reminded of that. And we have to emphasize that because there are so many things that are pulling on our lives, and those things never stop. Things like success and money and image and comfort, achievements, relationships, sports, approval, you name it. All of those things are simultaneously and consistently fighting for the number one position in our lives. They're fighting to sit on the throne of our hearts. Jesus said this in Matthew chapter 6, verse 33. He says, "Seek first the kingdom of God." Jesus is establishing order here because he knew that there would be this constant and consistent tug of war happening in our lives. And he wants to help us succeed in that because life works better, life works best when Jesus is first. Not second, not occasional, not seasonal, not when it's convenient or easy, but first. I think that's where we find the application in this point that sounds so simple. I was talking with someone just the other day, and she said, "You know, Randy, I never really believed the life teachings of the Bible, but I'm finding my way isn't leading to more peace and more joy and more happiness. I'm learning that God's ways aren't meant to restrict me. They're meant to lead me to a better life." And that is so good. And that is so true. Here's a great illustration to reinforce this point. You know, our solar system has an incredible order to it. Though it is massive and complex and still largely unknown in many ways, there is still incredible order. Planets stay in orbit. There's rhythms, there's consistency, there's stability. And all of those things, all of that order is the result of one thing. Everything revolves around the sun. The sun is the center. And honestly, life works the same way. When Jesus is truly at the center of our life, things begin to align differently. Not perfectly, not effortlessly, but properly. Our marriages get stronger. Our families get healthier. Our decisions get wiser. Our priorities get clearer. And our life becomes about something bigger than ourselves. But when something else is at the center, when something else has that center position, eventually disorder starts showing up because nothing else was intended to sit on the throne of our hearts, only Jesus. So don't fit Jesus into your life. Build your life around him. Develop your relationship with him. Create disciplines around his word. Stay in church. Put worship in your life and keep worship in your life. Why is this so important? Because whatever is first will shape everything else. So live this way. Lead this way. Make changes in your life where changes need to be made, and evaluate it consistently. Jesus over everything. Let's jump to our second anchor. Family matters. Family matters. Why is this an anchor? Because I think that family is often the first thing that we sacrifice in our pursuit of a full life. Our culture rewards busyness, busy schedules, busy calendars, busy homes, busy lives. But I want to emphasize something to us today, and it's simply this, that busy and meaningful are not the same thing. I'll say that one more time. Busy and meaningful are not the same thing. I love Paul's words of instruction to young Timothy, found in 1 Timothy chapter 6, verse 20. And he says this, guard what God has entrusted to you. Man, what a powerful message, especially in regard to our families. Man, our families have been entrusted to us, and we need to remember this, that family is special. Man, family's a gift. Family is one of God's biggest blessings, and family is one of our greatest responsibilities to steward. Now listen, family's never gonna be perfect. It won't be flawless, but it can be and should be an intentional area in our lives. Intentionally investing and building and leading and guiding and prioritizing and directing. We need to remember this, that families rarely grow strong and stay strong accidentally. They're strong because of intentionality. So I want to challenge us with a couple points of intentionality today. First, write this down. Be intentional to protect family. Be intentional to protect your marriage and your children. Be intentional to protect the culture of your home, the priorities of your home, the values of your home. Be intentional to protect what matters most from what matters less. Here's one that I think is important. Protect family connections. You know, as life gets busier and families spread out, relationships can drift. Be intentional to stay connected with your parents and with siblings and with adult children. The relationships that matter the most deserve intentional investment. You know, the greatest threats to our families are rarely dramatic, but rather it's things like busyness and distance, neglect, distraction, wrong priorities. I mean, those things, they don't show up overnight, but those are the things that creep into our life over time. So be intentional to protect your family. Here's another point of intentionality. Be intentional to be present. Wow. To be present with your spouse, to be present with your children, to be present in conversations, presence in the moments that just seem ordinary. Man, I believe with everything inside of me that one of the greatest gifts that we can give our family is our presence. In a world that is full of distractions, man, being present takes intentionality with phones and schedules, work, activities, notifications, responsibilities. Man, it's possible to be in the room and still not be fully present. Families don't drift apart because of one big moment. More often, they drift apart through 1,000 small moments of absence. And likewise, strong families are built in the small, everyday moments, those moments around the dinner table or in the car, at a ball game, before bedtime, or during a simple conversation. Be intentional to be present, because where your attention goes, your relationships grow. Let me give you one more point of intentionality in this point of family matters, and then we'll move on. But it's this: be intentional about healing. You know, every family has imperfections, disappointments, dysfunction. Every family has moments of hurt and misunderstanding and conflict. The question isn't whether wounds will happen. The question is, what will we do when the wounds do happen? Healthy families don't avoid problems. They address them. They have hard conversations. They ask and seek forgiveness. They own their mistakes. They seek reconciliation. Man, I believe this, that too many families spend years carrying wounds that could have been healed if someone would have been willing to take the first step. So I want to challenge us today. Don't wait for someone else to make the phone call. Don't wait for someone else to apologize. Don't wait for someone else to initiate the conversation. Be the one who moves towards healing. Because what is ignored rarely gets better, but what is addressed has the opportunity to heal. That's a good point. Family matters. Let me give you the third anchor that I want to share with you. It's this: be the thermostat. Be the thermostat. Don't just react to environments, but rather influence them and shape environments. Thermometers reflect temperature, but thermostats change temperature. Let me tell you, anyone can complain. Anyone can criticize. Anyone can add tension to a room. But we should bring something better. Jesus said this, Matthew chapter 5, verse 14. He says, "You are the light of the world." Man, we should be the bringers of light into situations and circumstances. We should be the bringers of light everywhere that we go. Light in the form of Jesus. Light in the form of peace and faith. Light in the form of stability and encouragement and wisdom and love and grace. Have you ever noticed how one person can completely change the environment of a room? Don't look at them right now. One negative person, one angry person, one dramatic person. Everyone feels it. But the opposite is true as well. One calm person can steady a room. One hopeful person can lift a room. One faith-filled person can change the conversation and the situation. One intentional person can point people to Jesus. Here is something for us all to know. Listen, lean in for just a moment. Every room gets better or worse because we walk into it. Every room gets better or worse because we walk into it. So at work, bring encouragement. In conflict, bring wisdom. At home, bring peace and love. When pressure rises, be the one who brings steadiness. When people cross your path, lead them closer to Jesus. Let's not just contribute to environments, let's help shape environments. Imagine what things would look like and what life would be like if that's the way we lived our life in every environment as Christ followers. Be the thermostat. And now, let me jump to the final anchor. Don't let your heart get hard. Don't let your heart get hard. At times, life will be hard and life will hurt. Not might, not maybe, it will. People will disappoint us. Relationships will disappoint us. Leaders will disappoint us. Friends will disappoint us. We're going to experience failures in life, loss in life, rejection, unfairness. That is just a part of life. And though we don't always get to choose what happens to us, we do get to choose what happens in us. We don't always get to choose what happens to us, but we do get to choose what happens in us. Solomon said this in Proverbs chapter 4, verse 23. He said, above all else, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. Think about that. Not some things flow from your heart. Not a few things. Everything. Our attitude, our relationships, our decisions, our perspective, our faith, everything flows from my heart. Which means this, if my heart gets hard, other areas and other things are affected as well. I think Joseph may be one of the greatest examples we see in Scripture. His story is in the Old Testament. And Joseph is betrayed by his brothers. He's sold into slavery. He's falsely accused. He's forgotten about while in prison. And listen, and yet he never showed any signs of developing a hard heart, but rather he chose forgiveness and kindness and restoration and trust, guarding his heart not from future pain, but from hardness. Man, life will try to harden our heart. Life will tempt us to build walls around our life. However, the walls we build to keep pain out often are also the same walls that keep love and trust and connection out. So Cross Mountain, I want to remind us to guard our heart. And if our heart has already become hard, let's ask God to soften it again today. It's in the Old Testament, in the book of Ezekiel. God says that he can take a heart of stone and turn it into a heart of flesh. One translation says he can take a heart of stone and turn it into a heart that is tender and responsive. Why is that so important? So that forgiveness, so that kindness, so that love, so that grace and trust and restoration, so that those are the things that define who we are, and not the pain that we've walked through, and not the pain that we've experienced. I think we all need anchors. Anchors that keep us tethered to the right things when everything else is pulling on our life. These 4 anchors I've given us today, I think these give us a solid foundation. Remember, Jesus over everything. Fight for a strong and healthy family because family matters. Be a thermostat. Be an influencer. Live your life with purpose. And guard your heart so nothing robs the most important things from you. I pray that you receive that today.